We are back.
We are back, bumble bitches.
Welcome back to To Be Better podcast. If this is your first time here, I am one of your hosts. My name is Chris.
And I'm Peaches.
And we read emails from viewers who want an unbiased opinion on things that's going on in their life. We are not therapists. We are not doctors. We're not psychiatrists. We have no letters behind our names. We are just two people who've made a lot of mistakes in life and have learned from it. A lot of self-help books, things like that. And we are trying our best to make change and save marriages.
Yes, we are.
Normally, we do a whole lot of little rambling and ranting back and forth, and we play and have useless conversation, but we have nixed that, and we are getting into emails right away now. So,
can I just say one thing?
Sure.
So I was thinking the other day, I should have went with peach
Why?
instead of peaches, because peaches is
Plural?
multiple, yeah. And I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense because we are many.
Legion?
Yes.
Are you saying you're possessed?
Maybe. No, it's a joke.
There's a whole lot of you in there.
A lot going on in here, definitely. It feels like there's a lot in here, a lot of demons.
Yeah.
Yeah. This anxiety is a bitch.
Yes, it is. We just got back from Arizona. I guess we can do a little bit of housekeeping.
A little bit of banter.
You know what? There's no point in doing that because today's April 1st.
Oh, yeah, you guys are going to hear this till May.
No, it'll air April 29th.
Oh, right before May.
So, you can pull that back just a little bit because you just put that right in your mouth.
I thought, well, you told me it had to touch my tits.
It needed to be close. It doesn't need to be here.
Well, that's what I thought. Okay, I'm trying.
And I'm helping.
Thank you. I'm more frustrated with myself because I can just never get it right.
You can just leave it where it is. You're fine. That's
Okay.
good. There's no point in doing housekeeping at this point because
Okay.
we're so far behind that by the time it airs. So if you guys want more up-to-date information and you would like to know what's going on with the podcast and things of that nature, I highly suggest that you tune in to the live streams on Wednesdays and Sundays on YouTube.
Yes.
We go live every Wednesday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and every Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that's when the updates about t-shirt drops and bath line products and body oils and all the shit that all the shit that we've got going on, meet and greets. We do big announcements that way. Like we have seminars and things coming up. And by the time you guys see this, the seminar has probably already been announced.
Fancy.
There will be a link in the bio of this video in YouTube. Should be as well on I'm going to try to get it onto the downloadable apps for like Spotify and Apple. I don't know. But there will be a link that takes you to our link tree that will take you to that. We are doing international retreats. And like, by the time this is out, that will have already been announced. So you can go and, launched. You should be able to go and look for that. But
I'm so stoked.
I am too.
Oh my gosh.
We're going to be going to Thailand. So.
Oh, we're just saying it.
It'll be announced by
Oh
then.
my gosh, there's an elephant sanctuary and we're doing a cooking class and we're going to be maybe doing fires on the beach talking to you guys.
Yeah,
I'm so excited.
We are still in the planning phase of the seminars as of right now, but by the time this drops, you guys will have all of the information. So.
I'm so stoked.
I don't know if we're going to be able to do seminars on a beach around a fire pit. That was something that I threw out there because I want it. But if we have to do it in a hotel conference room, so be it.
I'll bring the fire with me.
Bring the heat.
I am just absolutely a problem child. I cannot be taken anywhere.
You do pretty good in public.
I think so too, yeah. I think it's my reputation gets there before me. They're going to have fire extinguishers on hand.
We had a really good meet and greet while we were in Arizona. I will
did.
say that. I feel the need to put that out there. We have done 2 meet and greets now through our Patreon community where it's exclusive to Patreon. I think that in the future we will open that up to public. I just don't know how we're going to promote it in a way that makes sense. And I think that there needs to be some sort of like buy a ticket kind of thing to get access to where it's at.
I'd imagine we'd have to get a venue.
Yeah, well, I mean, if we went somewhere public and we sold tickets to where we're going and made like a private chat room or like an email list where we email, hey, this is where we're going, but you have to buy a ticket to get the address.
Yeah.
That eliminates hundreds of people showing up.
That private chat's a really good idea. If we plan it like 4 months in advance, and as people buy tickets, they get access to that chat so everyone can chat before we get there. So it's not going to be like, oh, hi, super awkward.
Right.
Because we get nervous too, guys.
Yeah, we do. So, but that's all in the works as well. There's a lot going on behind the scenes right now. And the travel, the couples retreats, we're selling it as a couple retreat. It's not. You can be a single person and go to one of these retreats. It's more of a self-improvement, personal growth, personal development.
Yeah.
Or just a reason to fucking hang out with us in Thailand.
I would totally accept that as your reasoning for wanting to go.
Same.
I don't want to improve as a person. I love doing crack, but I just wanted to hang out with you guys.
Don't come if you're a crackhead.
No?
No. No, I'm not trying to get robbed in Thailand.
It was a joke.
Crackhead ain't going to be able to afford to go to Thailand.
Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. There are some high-end dudes out there.
Yeah.
What are they call them? Big rollers or something?
Not if they're crackheads. They're
No?
not for very long. They might have started off that way.
Oh, yeah, no, that's right. You shouldn't use your own supply. That's a rule of thumb, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. That's one of the 10 crack commandments.
That
babe.
makes sense.
Oh, man. I'm guessing you've never heard that song.
I have not. That's a
Oh,
song.
man.
There's a whole culture around the 10 commandments of crack.
Of the drug game.
Really? Oh my gosh. There's a whole world I don't know about, guys. Wow.
That's a good thing that you don't know about it. You don't need to.
Yeah, no, I feel very blessed that I don't have that information already. That is, I've had a hard life. I don't need the final boss level. Like,
Yeah. The final boss level. Oh, shit.
all of that, and I have to be good at math.
You just got no measurements and weights.
So this email is titled "Thank You / Traditional Values" with ENM, which we have come to learn means ethical non-monogamy.
And I had to Google ENM. And this is what Google says. Ethical non-monogamy refers to any relationship dynamic in which partners consent to pursue sexual and romantic connections with multiple people. While monogamous people only have one serious relationship at a time, ethical non-monogamous or polyamorous people see no reason to limit their options in this way. We get thousands of emails a week.
Mm-hmm.
Thousands
Yeah.
a week. And if you want to have your email read on the podcast, you can send that to tobetterco@gmail.com.
Number 2.
bebetterco@gmail.com. Thousands of emails from people who can't manage a single relationship.
Yeah.
So if you guys are having non-ethical monogamy and you guys are having functioning relationships with multiple people, you've unlocked God mode somehow. But I'm willing to bet that those relationships fail like everyone else's too, so maybe not.
I mean, I would love to have some emails on everybody's in the relationships happy. All right.
Yeah, for now.
I want to hear about it.
Yeah, for now.
I want to know how it's working for y'all, and then maybe an update in a year.
Yeah. Yeah, let's see those updates. I'm not saying that it doesn't work for people. I'm sure that there's a very, very, very fucking minute percentage of people out there that this is working for. But I just, it's crazy to me that people think that this is a long-term sustainable thing.
Yeah. A lot of people, I've heard a lot of therapists specifically say that it is unrealistic to go against men's nature and monogamy, to have monogamy. And that doesn't make sense to me because sexual desires are their desire. We have a primal need for human connection to be validated. I just don't see long-term, healthy polyamory relationships happening because jealousy is going to get involved. There's going to be, oh, you do that for her. Why don't you do that for me? And then there might be some manipulation happening. And then what is the fucking word I'm looking for? It's not jealousy.
Resentment?
Resentment. That's it. Yes. Because they're going to start noticing that you treat people differently because people provide you different things. And then...
Yep. Which is actually the argument for
Right.
polyamory. I'm getting different things from different relationships.
Yeah, but if somebody thinks that Kevin's their soulmate and Sam is not Kevin's soulmate, like Jessica's the soulmate.
Yeah. Well, if there was actually a soulmate there, they wouldn't be needing to fuck other people.
Yeah.
This whole thing is just one new fucking thing, right? Everything is just this new thing. We
You
know
mean
that
like finding the new relationship?
30% of men have removed themselves from the dating pool. 20% of women have removed themselves from the dating pool. That's 50% of the dating pool has cut themselves off from it. Now you have people who want to date but want to fuck other people, which makes the dating pool go from 50% to probably like 25 to 30%.
Yeah.
And then when you look for people who are looking for long-term marriage, dating like for purpose, that percentage gets even smaller. Then you add all of the numbers on top of it of what people want from each other. That number gets even smaller. Then you go, well, what do you want from your retirement? How many kids do you want to have? Where do you want to live? That number gets even smaller. As we continue to divide the dating pool into sections, eventually everybody's going to be standing in their own little puddle.
Oh, yeah.
Looking around like, hey, I see you over there, but we can't connect because I can't jump that far and I can't, floor's lava. I just don't understand why we keep doing this shit to ourselves. And then people wonder why they can't find a good relationship.
I think it boils down to desperation.
Yeah.
And humanity failing humanity. People like to shit on every marriage in the 40 and 50s. Every single marriage was abusive. Every man was a piece of shit. Every woman was a battered wife. And that's not true.
No, it's not.
It's not. Were there cases of that? Yes, certainly. Just like that, there has always been that.
There still are.
Still are. They made shit work, though.
Yeah. Well, it's because they didn't have the internet telling them that you're in your 50s, you should get a divorce and go live your best life. Because the internet wasn't there to make it easier to cheat.
Yeah.
You lived in a small town where everybody knew everybody. If you went to dinner with another man or another woman, somebody's going to see that shit.
Oh, they know before your plates even hit the table.
Yeah. Susie Homewrecker is going to go and tell everybody your business. Yeah. There's just, things have changed and it's not necessarily for the better.
Yeah.
I think that small town living still offers something that major cities will never have. That sense of community goes a long way. There's an accountability to that.
I crave it.
Yeah.
I love our online community. I love our Discord community. I love our Patreon community. I need the physical community of it, because me sitting on my phone for 45 minutes trying to have a conversation with people, it just doesn't do it for me.
Right.
There's no energy in that. I'm looking at a screen. It's cold. I can disconnect from that so easily.
You realized that from the meet and greet, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah.
I really did. Because
that 2-hour fire pit conversation afterwards was the shit for me.
Felt like a lifetime.
Of knowing everyone.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I get that. I fucking get that.
Okay. Now we're going to actually read the email, guys. Ready? We're going to get past the title. I just wanted to start off by thanking you for doing what you do. I've binge listened to the podcast while working for several weeks, and I've already seen such an improvement in my communication skills as well as my overall mentality. To be honest, I used to be one of those people who was very judgmental towards traditional families solely based on the stigma around it. I randomly came across Peaches' TikTok one day, and everything in my life has changed ever since. I've gone from being a feminist and man-hating piece of shit to a woman who wants to serve her man in every way imaginable.
Love that. Being a feminist obviously wasn't serving you very well.
Yeah, I just want to tickle this brain wrinkle for some of you guys out there. You can't hate men and then expect a man to love you.
Nope.
Okay.
Does not work that way. How does that serve you?
It doesn't.
That needs to be the question that people ask. If you are living your life and you are unhappy, everything that you're doing needs to be broken down. How is this serving me? How is this fixing my life?
Mm-hmm.
Everything that I've done has gotten me to where I currently am, and I am fucking miserable. I'm depressed. I'm lonely. I want more than I currently have.
No one wants to be around me.
What do I need to do to correct this problem?
Mm-hmm.
Self-actualization. Accountability. I'm the fucking problem. Not everyone else, me.
You want to know what a key component in that is that a lot of people just don't want to not be?
The problem.
Well, that and lazy.
Yeah. It's easy to just exist.
Yeah.
Yep. Till it's not. And then you're going to have a decision to make.
Everyone is just one life choice away from having a completely different reality.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Change your perception.
Back to the email. I always tell the people in my life how hilarious it is that I always promised myself I would never date someone in the military because of the distance and how the men typically prefer a traditional lifestyle. But I'm set to get married to a military man next year. For context, my husband-to-be and I met on a video game 3 years ago, and we have been best friends ever since.
2 things.
Okay.
I have to pause. 2 things.
Because I'm thinking a thing to go.
One, there's a structure that comes with a lifelong military career,
Yes.
right? So fucking kudos to that because you're taught that structure, the discipline. The second thing is they met 3 years ago on a video game and became best friends. So for all of you who have a video game partner that is talking to people of the opposite sex, know that this is so fucking common that we get emails about it every day.
We actually just did a live call last night where voice chat was used for cheating.
Yep.
Yeah. I wanted to point out, wild to hate men, but your best friend was a man.
Crazy.
And I'm not saying that towards the emailer. I love the emailer has found a way of life that now makes her happy, something she thought she once hated.
Right.
That's dope. Just trying to connect dots for everybody else out there. Fuck all men, but not Kevin, because Kevin's great.
No, fuck Kevin.
No, all right, yeah. For those of you who don't know, we play poker, and one of our poker companions, his name is Kevin.
And that's the ongoing joke. That's
Fuck
all they need to know.
Kevin.
Fuck you, Kevin. Yeah.
Back to the email. He lives in Canada, and I live in California, but I've always wanted to move out of the country for medical reasons. In the beginning of this year, I made a joke about us getting married so I can immigrate to Canada, not expecting him to confess his love for me. I was also in love with him, but I was so worried about ruining our friendship that I never brought it up because I was content enough as long as he was in my life. Always bring it up. What are you going to do when the person you're in love with gets with somebody else and then you are no longer around? Because I can guarantee Jessica is not going to be in support of her man hanging out with another woman 24/7 or texting or chatting or being best friends with.
Mm-hmm.
Or vice versa. Men, take your shot.
Always shoot your shot.
Always. Thanks for not shooting my shot down. We met in person for the first time in May before his deployment to Latvia. We met in person for the first time in May before his deployment to Latvia. It went so well that he came back last month for a couple of weeks during his leave, and we started actually making plans for getting married and immigration. He won't be going back from home from Latvia until mid-December, and I'm set to move in the beginning of next year. He has always been my rock and the strongest force in my life, and I feel so genuinely lucky that he chose me to be his life partner. I have genuinely never loved someone so hard that I wanted to be a housewife and serve them as I do with him. Because you got yourself a man.
Then why is there E&M in this?
Oh, I forgot about that.
Keep reading it. Let's see.
Okay, yeah, let's keep going. I have genuinely... Oh, I read that. I didn't realize... Do you leave those bits in?
Huh?
Do you leave those bits in?
Yes.
Oh, I love that. I didn't... Were you going to say something?
No.
Okay. I didn't realize just how much I wanted to be that for him until I started listening to this podcast, and I'm just so glad that I did. We had a conversation about what we would want out of the marriage in terms of our values and expectations, and we agreed on nearly every aspect. I even got him to start listening to this podcast too, despite him not liking listening to podcasts. We are both very hell-bent on being the best version of ourselves for each other, and this podcast has brought us together even more.
Love all of that.
Although this email is mostly a thanks and a showcase of what you've done for my life, and I have no complaints, I did want your opinion on something. While he is on deployment, we have agreed to practicing ethical non-monogamy for the time being we have agreed that we would revisit it once we live together next year and go from there. We are unsure right now if non-monogamy is a permanent lifestyle of ours at this point, but that's a bridge to cross when we get there. My question is, do you think a couple could practice both ethical non-monogamy and traditional lifestyle?
No. And I don't think there's a such thing as ethical non-monogamy. I think that's a polite way of saying that you're okay with fucking other people.
I think it's a pass to cheat.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what it is. So here's a scenario. You got the best man you've ever wanted, right?
Yeah.
You want to be that traditional wife for him. What happens if he finds somebody else that fucks better and doesn't want to come back to you?
Yeah.
Or finds somebody that scratches that itch better than you do? Or you find somebody that is just one level higher now?
Or really listens better.
Right.
He validates you in a way that the other one doesn't.
You are making your person a placeholder for the next best thing.
Yeah.
I do not support this at all. If you want to fuck other people, don't be in a relationship. Just don't be single and fuck other people.
You can
Just
do the whole culture. That's cool. Like,
own it.
yeah. As long as you're not coming after my man or anybody else's man or vice versa, you're not chasing someone's wife.
Do you know what this tells me?
What?
This scenario tells me that in the event that there is a horrible scenario, TBI, jail, paralyzation, cancer, sickness, you're not going to be there for each other. If you can't be together during a deployment that's only a couple of months, a lifelong marriage is not for you.
Oh, yeah, just to satiate sexual needs?
Yeah, you just don't do that.
I'm good. I agree. I do not think that it is possible to have traditional values and have hall passes for cheating.
No, I agree. There are people out there, there are men out there in the whole Andrew Tate culture who refuse to be with just one woman sexually, but will take care of them in every facet of their lives because they're billionaires.
Right, but are they getting something from that woman? Is she taking care of the household?
Yeah.
Is she cooking for him?
Probably to an extent. Most of those guys don't cook.
Yeah. I would imagine that that's just transactional at that point. That woman has someone who's taking care of her. She has a place to live. She doesn't have to work.
Yep. And
There's
she's
no
arm
emotional
candy.
tie.
She's arm candy.
Yeah.
There's no vulnerability between the two of them.
Yeah. No support pillars.
You are a glorified live-in escort
Yeah.
at that point.
Yeah.
That's it. You're a kept woman. You get to live for free, but you have to fuck whenever they want to and accept whatever behavior they give you. That sounds like slavery almost. I'm good on that. I think that's, I don't know. I don't like the shit.
You want to get back to the email?
Yep.
We agreed on blue jobs and pink jobs. He opens the doors for me and wants to be able to provide while I stay at home and take care of the house and animals. And I'd like to do the same due to my physical health. We have agreed on the boundary of not having people in our lives that require a change in priority. And we would always go home to each other and only each other at the end of the day. Yeah, you can say that until maybe you start nagging for 3 or 4 months in a row.
Yep. Or that love honeymoon phase fades.
This is playing with fire, in my opinion.
Yep.
And at some point, this is going to be an untamed wildfire, and California will be devastated.
It'll be Canada, but she's also got medical issues.
Right.
So what happens when her medical issues become a problem for him?
And you can't do your pink jobs anymore.
Right. Or can't do the things that he wants to do because there's a medical condition.
Oh, man. Yeah. What if he likes hiking? You can't hike anymore. All right. I'm going to go take Jessica. And now him and Jessica are spending 3 to 4 hours every other day together hiking.
Yep. And that bond has become a lot closer than yours because that's his new bestie.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I've provided enough context, but thank you for reading, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts. I look forward to listening to more of your episodes and your Patreon content that I now have access to as of today.
Which was what?
Oh, let's see if the date's included. It is not. I have no idea.
Oh, well.
I hope that you enjoy the Patreon content. I hope that maybe you have access to Discord and that's beneficial for you.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know what that is, Patreon is a member-based subscription website that allows us to do early release, live streams, exclusive content, vlogs, and we have our own Discord server that is exclusive to our Patreon community.
That Discord is absolutely insane. It is an ever-growing community of like-minded people who you could say practice what we preach, have implemented the things that we have suggested, and it's working.
Would you go as far as to say that they're getting better?
I'd go as far as saying that they're definitely getting better. So if you have questions, you need unbiased opinions, you don't feel safe going to anybody in your present life, I would highly recommend checking out the Discord.
Yeah. Also, for those of you who don't want to support us financially, that's totally fine. The best thing that you can do in terms of helping us grow this channel is by sharing our content. The more people that see what we do, the more likely it is to get shared. The more people that are going to support what we are doing, the longer we are going to do this. Back to your regularly scheduled program. The conversations that we have about things like this is not us shitting on the people who choose to do this. It's us shitting on the situation, right? You can do whatever the fuck you want to do in life that makes you happy. It's your life. Do you. Be happy. Those actions are just not something that we are okay with. I don't believe that in any way, shape, or form that is going to lead to a long-term successful marriage.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are not built that way.
I think the majority of people are not. I think a lot of people want their cake and want to eat it too. Mm-hmm. And it's one thing for you to do it, but it's another for them to do it.
Right.
Right? So where you're like, oh, well, he's deployed or she's deployed and we're not together right now. So it's a different zip code doesn't count, right? Until you go home and found out she fucked somebody and you're like, oh, wait a minute. Now there's feelings involved and you don't like that shit. Like, I just don't think that there are very many people out there who truly believe that that's okay.
Yeah.
And if they do, it's not a true relationship. Like you've thrown around the term soulmate a couple times in this email. If that's true, you're not doing that to your soulmate.
Well, I've heard people in polyamory say that. Jessica and Paul are together, and Jessica and Paul will die on the hill that they are soulmates. But Jessica also has Stephen and Joseph.
Well, those are soul bonded people.
Yeah.
If that's even a thing. And some people believe that it is. And people who believe in soulmates, that one soul is your person forever, I don't think that's the case. But I think that if you truly love somebody like that, you're not trying to fuck other people. And I know that, again, like the fucking narrative right now on social media is that men want to be with multiple women and have that one main chick and a bunch of side chicks, and like it means nothing. It's just sex.
That's that Playboy 14-year-old dudes are in a field doing spitting contests talking about shit. When I think of the men in my life, like the married men, the men who are looking to be married, that is not a thing.
I understand the thought behind that for a lot of men.
Yeah.
And I certainly see why it's appealing, because the new flirting, dating, fucking phase of a relationship is the most exciting for a lot of people. But there's no sustenance to that. Mm-hmm. It is literally a phase. It will fade.
No longevity.
Right. And when things go wrong, if that's all you have is new relationship after new relationship, you don't have somebody that's going to be there for you
when you're 60.
For the long term.
70 in a wheelchair.
Right. And
when
if
you have early onset dementia.
Right. And if you're building your life and you're both building separate lives and you've lived your entire life doing you, eventually you're going to die alone because you've spent your entire existence doing you.
You know, young people don't spend enough time thinking about the long term. When I was in my early 20s having children, I was not thinking about the end of my life.
Most people don't.
Now that I've matured and I've grown exponentially in my mindset and in my soul, all I can think about is what I'm going to do in my old age. All of this is going to go by so fast. I'm going to start crying. And one day our children are going to be in their 30s and 40s with their own kids, and you're probably going to be in a wheelchair. And logically, with the way time goes, you being older than me, I'm going to be here by myself. And I pray that I do the best I can in my life to have a community around me when that happens, because I don't want to be, I don't know, say something happens and the economy collapses and I have no money and I'm 60 and homeless. A lot of that's really scary to think about. And when it comes to thinking about ethical non-monogamy, like, who is going to be that person for you if you're doing that? Because if you're in polyamory and everybody you're with is into polyamory and they're all with 8 different people, 4 different people, 2 different people, and it boils down to they're going to have to pick the one that means the most to them, and you might not be that.
At some point, they will make that decision.
That's too scary of a situation for me to put myself into.
I would even go as far as to say that if they are in a polyamory situations like that, where they are going from person to person to person and they're always having these new relationships, that there is nobody that is the most important. The most important at that point is themselves.
Yeah.
Because they are only working for their own base desires, which isn't even their needs, it's their base desires.
Yeah.
Versus what it is a selfish mindset to me.
And I with my ankle being messed up and my elbow being broken, the other day, I can't remember what day it was, but I couldn't walk and I couldn't use the left side of my body. And if you weren't here to help me, I couldn't go to the bathroom. I wouldn't be able to open the door to get DoorDash, let alone cook myself food. Like, I don't know. All of that is just so much to process for me.
Yeah, it's a lot.
You want to do another email?
Yeah, we're only 35 minutes in, so.
This one is just titled Patreon.
Okay.
So first and foremost, I want to apologize because this is technically the third time I've sent in an email. The first two were before I joined the Patreon. This is after. I just finished episode 7 of the podcast, and I'm currently on bonus content 4 emails. I'm watching through the YouTube Music app. In a previous episode, you talked about a video or videos where you discuss your religious beliefs / views on Patreon. That, mixed with my want to support you guys in this venture however I can, is what made me subscribe. And thank you for wanting to support us. I don't have a partner currently, but I did choose the $20 VIP plus partner membership because if / when I do find someone, I would like for them to listen as well. I am here for that preparation.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've been rude. I'm going to leave out the name. I am a 29-year-old single male currently living in Northeast Texas. How did I know it was a man? I don't know. It was the preparation of when I find someone, they're going to join this shit and they're going to watch this shit with me. I have undiagnosed ADD and ADHD, so forgive me if my emails are all over the place. I honestly have a lot of topics I'd love to discuss with you both. I relate heavily with viewpoints you've touched on so far, and I am also originally from Florida. I used to passively see your videos on TikTok and vibe with it, which eventually led me here. Since then, I've been telling everyone I can about your podcast because I think the information is something a lot of people in the world need. It has definitely helped me in a lot of ways. Since I'm single, I don't have a lot of relationship problems. I don't actively seek out dates. I'm pretty reserved when it comes to shooting your shot because let's be honest, the dating pool has pee in it.
Needs bleach.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of bleach.
However, I am wondering about how you guys personally were in the beginning. I've heard a couple of episodes talking about your origins a bit, but still have a couple of questions. You've stated that you were just friends, but Chris, how much of a gentleman were you before you sat down and discussed dating?
I don't understand what he means. I was a dick when I met you.
Okay. Were you opening car doors, doing car maintenance, being as protective?
Before we started dating?
Before we started dating.
No, why the fuck would I support somebody like that? Why would as a man, why the fuck would you financially support and go to that level of whatever for anyone that you're not engaged with? Like,
why would you say where did the money come from?
Because he said the gentleman shit that I do.
Right,
that
but
includes
he said,
paying for meals,
okay.
opening car doors, paying for your gas, making sure that your vehicle's maintained. I'm not doing that for somebody that I'm not with.
And I want to say, as a woman, I did not expect it either.
Right.
Before dating.
That's tricking.
I saw his quality of character and the way he acted with other human beings.
I will open the door for anyone.
Yes.
Male or female, young, old, it doesn't matter. If somebody's walking to the door at the same time as me, I will open the door and hold it, and I'll be the last one through the door. I don't give a fuck about that. Mm-hmm. If I had a female friend who was like, look, I'm afraid to go to the gas station. I'm by your house. Can you meet me there so I feel safe? Even that might be a questionable scenario for me because we live in a really nice area.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
also, why are you messaging my husband?
Right.
Out of all of them,
I was using that from a before you and I started dating because that was the discussion we were having.
Okay.
There was a time when we were not together where your car wouldn't start, and I went and grabbed jumper cables and went and got you jumper cables because you're stranded.
Yeah.
That's a different scenario than I'm afraid to pump gas. Well, get a pew pew. Keep that thing on the hip. Like, it's not my responsibility to make sure that you're safe. I'm not Captain Save the Women. Mm-hmm. I will do for those that I deem worthy of doing for. So that question doesn't make sense to me. When you and I were friends, I would go above and beyond and do things for you because I'm your friend. But most people don't have a friendship like we had before they start dating or courting and then dating. Most people swipe or meet online, go out and start fucking.
Yeah. Our friendship was mainly comprised of texting each other stupid shit, making the other person laugh.
Yeah.
That was it. It was really just like, how dope was your day today?
Yeah. I don't, if you're a man, I don't think that you should be going above and beyond for people that are not your people.
Right.
So I'll leave it at that, I guess.
Okay.
However, if you've watched the gentleman video, if you invite somebody out, it is your duty to pay. So in that situation, I would pay. I've paid for both of the meet and greets for dinners, which I didn't want to do the last time, but I did. And moving forward, that won't be a thing anymore. But if you invite, you pay. Moving forward, I need to remember it's a business thing. Like this is business, not personal. But I don't know. That I guess is the only caveat.
What does caveat mean?
It's the only exception to the rule.
Okay. On another more personal topic, I was originally born in Orlando, and most of my family still lives in the Melbourne area. Is that what it is?
Cocoa Beach.
Melbourne area. The A throws me off.
Yeah.
I understand wanting to keep certain things private. However, next time I visit, I'd love to support your tattoo shop and possibly the other business. I don't have tattoos yet for my reasons, but I'm hoping my mom will get matching tattoos as our first ones together. On more than one occasion, you guys have talked about Peaches' pot pie. There's a pretty good Irish place in Melbourne called Meg O'Malley's with great pot pie if that tickles your fancy.
Yeah, Melbourne's almost 4 hours from us, like 3.5 hours from us.
Full disclosure, the servers' outfits are somewhat like Twin Peaks or Hooters.
And we ain't going then. I'm not okay with that behavior either.
Yeah.
I'm not okay with, from a business standpoint, I understand that sex sells.
Yeah.
But to hire people as a requirement for them to dress scantily.
I view that it's a soft version of sex work to me.
It is. I view it the same way.
You're making money off of women's bodies.
Yep.
But the food's great. You don't go there for the food.
No.
You can DoorDash Hooters.
Nobody fucking goes to Hooters for their wings. Well, that's a lie. Apparently they do, because the video I made on TikTok, there were like 7 people who were like, I love Hooters wings. Well, some people like liver and onions. So there are the strange people out there, I guess.
I love you.
I love you too. Why'd you say that?
Because liver and onions is akin to going to Hooters. People are strange. I like that. It was, I don't know, made me happy.
You're entitled to your wrong opinion. It's okay.
My family used to work for Dudas. Okay, I'm sorry. Cattle ranch before the old man passed, and a big portion of the land was sold to make Vira. Just a random fun fact because I think Chris has mentioned growing up there.
Nope. I've been to Cocoa Beach.
Yeah.
But that's the other coast of Florida. The Atlantic coast and the Gulf Coast are 2 very different coasts.
2 totally different oceans.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, it's 2 very different communities.
Yeah. Finally, God, religion, and the Patreon. I recently was talked into going to church for the first time in a long time with a good friend. It was wild and strange because the sermon touched on everything I was currently struggling with. I still don't go regularly due to the hypocrisy that's usually aligned with the church. However, it has renewed my faith.
I wonder how many people have actually experienced that hypocrisy versus has been told about that hypocrisy.
Right, just the stigma of it.
Right, because it's you have a, I know about that because I've heard about it, right? But have you experienced it?
Right.
Because if you haven't experienced it from the church that you're going to, you're making excuses not to go to church.
Yeah.
And if you've experienced it at a said church, go to a different one.
Yeah. I made a video about Ruby Frankie the other day on TikTok, and somebody made a comment because Ruby Frankie did all the things that she did to her children in the name of religion. And somebody in the comment was just going off about this is why religion is wrong and all of the things that people say to shit on religion.
Yeah, show me in the Bible where it says to duct tape your kids to their bed and starve them.
Right? My response to that comment was, that is manipulation of religion. That is man having hands in what is being said about religion. My God does not support or condone all of the awful things that happens.
Yeah. It's the difference between religion and relationship.
Right. I'm slowly easing back into everything. Prayer, reading the book, and talking with God.
Hold on. People don't have the same barber their entire life.
No.
You go until you find one you like, or a hairstylist. And then when that hairstylist moves on, you either find another hairstylist or you follow them, right? But it takes a long fucking time to find that person that's your person. Same thing with massage therapists,
Tattoo artists.
friends, relationships.
the people you have to watch your children.
Yeah. That statement, like I agree that I don't like most church organizations because of the things that happen in those church organizations. But there are things that I have experienced personally, not shit that I've heard about. So my issue with religion is because it is a man-made construct. It in general. But I get a lot from the communities that come from having that.
Yep. Man is born with sin, so how can your word be the right one if you're man? Right? Because
If you're a man,
a human, right?
Okay.
That's the verbiage of the Bible, man.
Right.
Right. Not saying men.
right? Well, you did though. And
Right.
it is. Man is short for human. Is the way that that's supposed to be.
That's what I meant.
Okay.
You can pull back the vipers, babe.
My vipers aren't out. I think that you and I were just on two different conversations there.
Why?
Because mine had nothing to do with the actual religion aspect. Mine is more about what people do and
Right.
what people are and the way that our life is and how quick people are to blame religion for everything that's fucking wrong with the world and wrong with their lives because they don't have the accountability or they hear stories of other people and the things that are going on.
Yeah.
If that shit isn't happening to you, hasn't happened to you, and you're not currently existing in that,
You're blessed.
then how is it affecting your life?
Right.
If you had a bad experience at a church, that was one church. Go to a different one. If you have a bad experience at that one, move on. Because it's not the church, it's the people in the church. And if you have a relationship with God, God ain't doing you dirty.
It's the people.
It's the people. Or you. It could be you.
It could be. I love that the emailer is getting back into things, though.
Yeah, me too.
Finding that comfort again makes you lighter. I don't know how to explain it. It's dope hearing about other people find it. Doesn't, you don't have to be Christian, you don't have to be Catholic, whatever religion that you identify with and you find comfort within that. I am glad that you have that. My decision to subscribe was partially due to wanting to be friends. You guys are great, honestly. And it sounds like that's pretty normal for your listeners. So I don't feel weird saying it. Oh no, everybody wants to be our friend. We hear it all the time. I'm such a bad friend though. Very inconsistent with my being in touch. I'm typically pretty open, honest, and genuine, just reserved. At least that's how friends have described me. The other factor in my subscription was my curiosity on your religious views and lifestyle. Not only am I looking to grow as a person, I welcome anyone that can enrich my life in a spiritual or religious manner as well. I hope I haven't been mistaken in assuming there's a somewhat open line of communication. If I have, I apologize. That's all the bullet points I have for now. I apologize once again if I was all over the place and rambling. As always, thank you for your time and effort. I look forward to showing support, listening, laughing, and growing alongside you and all other listeners. God bless.
Discord is not open access to us.
No, neither is the Patreon.
Right. We don't actually even want you messaging us on anything. Anything. Email is the way that you want to contact us. If you're having an issue with Patreon or Discord, a message is fine. However, we still prefer email because we have people that handle the Discord. And if you email us, I have to stop what I'm doing, reach out to them and be like, hey, can you handle this?
Yes.
You know what I mean? So like, but the Discord is not open channels to us. We are in Discord and we talk to everyone openly in public, but we don't respond to messages in there. Business messages, maybe. Like there's channels that we go, like still, there are people that we have known for more than a year. There are people who we have helped financially. There's people that we've done things for, but we still go through channels. Hey, I need you to message this person because they're, you've talked to them, or we have a group chat, or hey, can you get a hold of Zach and tell Zach to tell them? Because we don't want direct messages like that.
Chris and Peaches, first of all, I want to say I love y'all. I found you on TikTok and subscribed to your podcast. My fiance, 50 male, and I, 37 female, have been together for about 6 years now. This will be a second marriage for both of us. I'm a paramedic, and he is a firefighter/paramedic. We have both seen the worst that humanity has to offer. I struggled with my mental health for years and was drinking heavily every single night that I was off of work. I was extremely angry, bitter, and self-destructive. My 13-year abusive marriage and bitter divorce played a huge role in that, but I also had difficulty admitting that some of the things I had seen at work were getting to me. As a woman in a male-dominated field, it is considered weakness to ask for help. And the one time I did, my supervisor called me too emotional and retaliated against me by suspending me.
Okay, now I have to pause. And I'm going to try to articulate this in a way that does not come across as a dick. She had a 13-year bad marriage. She was an alcoholic. She admitted that she was not able to process the things that was happening in her job and it was having a toll on her.
Right.
She was then too emotional to her supervisor. I don't know what that means. Were you crying? Were you threatening suicide? Were you complaining about patients? Were you making dead baby jokes? What was happening that made you too emotional? That narrative is very unhealthy and not conducive to a good conversation.
It's villainizing.
You're villainizing your boss, and you're playing a victim as a woman. I know a lot of women who are in that field that have no problem being in that field.
Yeah.
So to say that, I think that is, I don't want to say dangerous vernacular because I don't believe that that's dangerous, but I think that it sets a precedence.
It's damaging
for other women going into that field to think, well, I'm a woman, so I'm going to have it harder than men. If you're emotional in a job where you're in a work field, if you are emotional in a field where you have to save people's lives and you are not able to shut the emotion off and do your job, that's a fucking problem.
It's not the field of work for you.
Right. So let's have that discussion. If you, the emailer, are not mentally adept to dealing with the things that are happening, that's a concern. Has nothing to do with your gender, has nothing to do with your work environment. If this is hard for you and you are not emotionally able to handle it and you go to drinking and you are suppressing and you're not dealing with your emotions, that's a fucking problem. I know police officers who have pulled dead babies out of vehicles, resuscitated them, and saved that baby's life. And I know some who were not able to be saved. You don't think it's fucking hard for those guys? It's hard. It's fucking hard for us to see those videos, right? You see it all the time where something will hit your Facebook feed and you'll fucking cry from it. Not everybody is cut out to deal with those things. Don't blame it on you being a woman. Let's be honest and just say that this might not be my fucking field. How did they retaliate for you? You got suspended. So is it that you were not safe in the work environment that you were in and they removed you from it because you needed to get some fucking help and needed some time off? Or was it retaliation?
Right. Were you having a mental break?
I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like that explanation.
And it's not a bad thing to say, I'm not built for this.
No, it's not. It's honest.
It's honest. And you know what else that does? It frees you up to do what you're actually called to do.
Right. Doing that job is honorable as fuck.
Yeah, it is.
But
I could never.
You need to compartmentalize and you need to be able to process your shit. And if you need therapy, you need to go to therapy.
100%.
You can do that job and go to therapy at the same time. I'm not shitting on the woman or the career. I'm shitting on the choice
thought
of
process.
words. Right.
Yeah. Or the way that it was explained.
That could have been worded so much better. Because now every woman who wants to go into the EMT field that hears this email is going to go, well, now women are going to have it harder than men in that field. I don't know if I should want to do that or not. So you're going to give up your wants and your desires in a career path because somebody else had a hard time.
I'm fine.
Where you don't know what their hard time was. You just know that they said that they had a harder time because they were in that field. It's no different than the religion conversation we just had.
Yeah. And we need women in that field because there are going to be patients or victims that you interact with who are going to feel more comfortable in a woman's presence.
Yep.
Not shitting on male paramedics or firefighters because you guys are also necessary because there will be patients likewise who are more comfortable in a man's presence. You're right that whole statement is very demonizing towards the field.
Yep. And her situation could really be the way that she described it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it's going to be everyone else's scenario. Like, I don't think that that's helpful. I think that that's putting a stigma on, I'm a woman, therefore I'm a victim. I'm good on that.
I agree with that because we have heard from men also in the military specifically who have said, I have not asked for help because they will view me as weak.
Yeah. So
it's not gender-based. You're right. Looking back at it, I think removing that as a woman in a male-dominated field, just getting to, as in all career fields where there is mental strain, asking for help can be viewed as weakness. And in my experience, that is what happened.
Let's break it down to an even simpler sentence.
Okay.
I was too emotional and they suspended me.
Okay, because that is the facts of the sentence. You're right.
Right.
That's the facts of the sentence.
I was too emotional. You can take that in a broad spectrum of things, but when I hear I was too emotional, it means that I could not process what was going on in my job.
Mm-hmm.
I went to my supervisor. They realized that I was not okay, and they gave me some time off.
Yeah.
That's how I would take that statement. I was too emotional, and they suspended me.
When I hear too emotional, I'm imagining crying, can't talk, can't communicate. Everyone's worried about what's going on right now. And then, in effect, the suspension happening because very clearly you are not okay.
All right. Well, let's add the previous conversation to it. 13-year bad marriage, drinking every single day to deal with their job.
Yeah.
So now they're an alcoholic. They're using a depressive to deal with their problems, which means when they're sober, they are going to be depressed.
Mm-hmm.
And in the event that there's a hangover there and they're taking ibuprofen, it's going to be even worse, right? Although they're an EMT, so I'm sure if they got a hangover, they just give themselves an IV. But there's a lot to that. Like, and when you break down everything that was just stated, that statement is not as cut and dry.
Right, as presented. You want to get back into the email?
Yeah.
In the last 2 years, I have sought help and started taking medications for anxiety and depression.
Good.
That is good. I don't drink very often anymore.
It's even better.
I want to recommend, guys, don't wait until you're at the breaking point to start seeking help and looking to get medication. If you have noticed in the last 3 months you are not enjoying your hobbies, you don't want to hang out with your friends, you stopped cooking and you love cooking, there is something going on, and it may be it's time to evaluate life and really take a step back and go, I might need to talk to somebody and figure out if I maybe need help with anxiety medication, because anxiety medication should not be a long-term solution. It's there to help ease whatever mental strain is going on, help you get through that fog a little bit, to find the solution to get back or to a evolved version of you and doing the things you enjoy again.
Yeah. If you need to find therapy.
Mm-hmm.
The drugs should be a secondary option to help you get through your therapy.
Yeah.
It's not a permanent fixture. Do you want to be on something like that for the rest of your life, or do you want to work through your problems?
Right.
I personally think that you should find a therapist that does not prescribe drugs. There is a difference between a psychologist and a psychiatrist.
Isn't a psychiatrist paid to give you meds?
I'm pretty sure a psychiatrist is the one that prescribes, and a psychologist is the one that helps.
Right. They make their money off of those prescriptions, though, right?
Well, no, they make their money off. Yes, they do, but not solely. They make their money off of charging you for your time.
Right.
They'll treat you like a normal therapy session. The difference is they can write prescription drugs.
Yeah.
And then the pharmaceutical companies kick these people back money for writing drugs. They get bonuses for how much they prescribe and shit like that.
See, I would be worried about that kickback because
Doctors get the same thing.
Are you worried about your beach house or my mental health?
Yeah. I think there's too many tools out there, too many tools that are readily accessible for people to not start fixing themselves.
Oh, yeah.
And when they get to a roadblock that they don't know what else to do, then seeking help is the answer, but going straight for drug searching is not.
Mm-hmm.
Because you were sticking a Band-Aid on a fucking bleeding wound.
Yeah.
And hoping that it's going to stop the bleeding.
I agree with that. That's like patients who get weight loss surgery who
and
think
get
that
fat again.
Yeah, because they think that that's going to be the magic solution, and in all actuality it's the changing of the diet and lifestyle and
you have to relearn how to eat.
all of those things. Back to the email. The night terrors have mostly stopped. I am no longer suicidal. I feel more like myself than I have in years, and I've begun participating in activities and hobbies that I love again.
I was overly emotional and they suspended me.
And then
I'm an alcoholic. I'm depressed. I'm having night terrors and I'm suicidal.
Yeah.
You are not safe to be in this work environment. Okay.
I would have suspended you too.
Based off of that statement, I wouldn't want you to try to.
Yeah.
What's going to be the breaking point for you? At what point are you going to stop giving? Because you can only give so much. And you doing that line of work, you are giving. You are giving a bit of your soul every time somebody dies. And every time you have to witness somebody who's been abused, right? Like,
and you have to pass them off at the hospital?
Yeah.
And then maybe hopefully get a phone call back and an update? This may be my own personal bias, and I am 100% assuming right now. Your job made the right call if this is what you've told them. If they gave you the time off to say, look, you need to get some things in order, we're going to Did they call it a suspension, or was it where you're going to get 2 weeks off, take some breathing room?
Yeah.
Are you calling it a suspension?
I mean, it's a suspension no matter
Is that
how
what
it's
it is,
worded,
period?
yeah.
Well, that's not a bad thing.
It can't be. I mean, it could be. She also said that it's retaliation, so she believes it's personal. But she also then said that she found a better station to work at, or however she worded that. She's working for a different
She has more
group of
support
people
now.
now. So, and your support system matters. It's why we have the Discord and the Patreon, because it's an extra level of things for people to get help with, and like a community to be built around. But I've never lost a job because of somebody else's actions. Ever.
Me either.
It's always been my fault.
Yeah.
And at the time, I'm going to blame other people because
Right.
I don't want to be the fucking problem. But it's me. Even if other people don't like you, they don't like you because of who you are.
And that's okay.
Yep. Beauty about a job is it's just a job and you can always get another one.
My concern and where I need advice is, how do I help my fiance realize that he needs to seek help? He has gone through some really traumatic things in the last couple of years and is exhibiting the same self-destructive behaviors that I was prior to getting help. I have been where he is. I have felt that darkness. I am worried about him, and I don't know how to help him. I have tried to talk to him about seeing a counselor. He did see someone a few times, but said it just makes him feel worse. He is drinking heavily every day that he is not working. I am afraid that he is suicidal. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to help him. At the same time, it is affecting my mental health. When he drinks, he gets angry so easily, and I feel like I have to walk on eggshells. The smallest things set him off. He is an absolutely wonderful, amazing, and caring man, and I love him very much. Please help me to help him. Thank you for your time.
He needs a community. He needs somebody that he can talk to that's not going to pick apart his life. If he's suppressing all of the shit that he's seeing and dealing with at work, and he's going to therapy and they're trying to make him live through that, of course it's going to make him worse. He's repressed all of that.
Probably has
suppressed it.
PTSD.
Huh?
Probably has PTSD.
That's very common in that field.
Yeah.
There are people out there who can compartmentalize very well and let shit go when they leave. But there are things that you are going to see in life that you are not going to unsee.
Yeah.
And when you experience those, people in those fields need to have access to a good therapist, right? And it needs to be provided to them through their job. Like that's one of those jobs that should be a benefit of the job. You are saving people's lives. The least that they can do is save yours. You know what I mean? And that's all government work. If you're a firefighter or EMT, there are private EMTs, but that's, ambulance is, but that most of the time is through the government. So if you're working as a government employee, you should have access to that. If he's suicidal and depressed and becoming an alcoholic, that's the conversation that needs to be had. However, she's also assuming these things.
Right.
Why are you crying?
Because there was a night where we were doing a live and there was an email in the folder that should not have been in the folder. And it was a story from an EMT. I didn't live it, and I'm fucking traumatized just from hearing the story about it. So
Yeah.
I'm just trying to.
The assumption of these things is a problem. If he's becoming mean to you when he's drinking, that's factual. So the conversation is you have a check-in, and during that check-in while he's sober, you tell him, when you start drinking, you become mean to me. And when you become mean, I don't enjoy being around you. It makes it very hard for me to be home. You treat me differently, and I don't want to be treated that way. I don't like you as a person when you're drunk. That gives him an option to stop drinking or to start seeking therapy because he has an opportunity to serve you. And if he's not willing to do those things and he's willing to continue to do what he's doing, then his priority is suppression and not you. And that says a lot. So at that point, then you can maybe find group therapy, or he needs to find a group of men that he can talk to where he can get shit out and they can help him process.
I was just thinking that's what I would do. If I were in this situation and I saw you in a toxic cycle and I have done everything that I can as your wife, I would start reaching out to the men in your life. And I wouldn't divulge anything that you've told me privately. I would just let them know, like, hey, he's really fucking going through it. I don't know what to do anymore. he needs man support. And that would be like, I wouldn't even know what to tell them to do or how to help you. It would just be my husband's going through it and I can't help him as his wife. He needs men in his life.
I think that there is a time in everyone's life where you are so beat down that you're just trying to survive, and you find whatever outlet you can get to get you to survive. And that sometimes looks like alcohol. Sometimes it looks like video game escapism.
Sometimes it looks like sex.
Cheating, right? It looks like a lot of things, and those things are how we exist. And when you're in that existence and you are doing the best that you fucking can and everything is happening, when you were in that moment, sorry, my phone just went fucking ape shit. I don't need all of that nonsense. When you are living in that existence, you don't want people trying to pull you out of it because you think that you're doing enough, like you're surviving right now. And sometimes that survival is all you fucking got. And I've been at that depression where, like, even though I'm existing and I'm holding my shit together, I'm still going to work, I'm still paying my bills, I know that eventually I'm going to get over this.
Yeah.
Right? Because you make it through everything. That's why men don't go to the doctor a lot of the time. Oh, my knee hurts. It'll go away.
Or you get used to it.
Right. It's no different with our mental health. And with the stigma that comes along with that, that's a whole different discussion as well. But having a community or a really good gym bro, or just even a friend that you can really unload on when you need to unload, it's a vent. You let a little bit of that steam out so that you can just continue to exist. If you are a man who's listening to this podcast and you are in that survival right now, there are options for you to get out of that survival, but you are going to have to make the decision to do it. And you're going to have to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation. And when you're already fucking depressed and you're already going through that, it's going to be even harder to do it, which is why you need to do the work when you're not feeling like you are feeling. However, you're not going to get out of this if you don't start making changes. And if you're surviving and you're living that way, you don't want to fucking live that way. It's why men are killing themselves at fucking record numbers. We don't know what to do. And that seems like the best fucking option in the moment because it's the easiest. So you need to find a community of men. Start going to church, stop drinking, go. If you're a veteran, go to the VA, find meetings, whatever it is that you need to do that can provide you some sort of support. Find somebody that you trust that doesn't judge you, that can listen, or even just fucking sit there and have a beer with you in silence, even though you're not supposed to be drinking because you're an asshole when you drink. Sometimes that can become a dinner outing where you talk about your family or you talk about the troubles of work. Why are you crying still?
I'm crying now because I'm glad that you didn't do that.
Yeah.
I can't say that if you had done it, I wouldn't know you.
Yeah.
Like my life, I would never experience this life. So I wouldn't know what I could have, but I know what my life would be like if you weren't here.
Yeah. It's a dark place to be in, and there's nothing that anybody can do for you. So
Right.
for her to write this email about help me help him, you can't help him. He has to make the decision to start making changes in his life. And hopefully people who are in that rut that hear this go, okay, he's right. I'm the fucking problem. What can I do to fix this? And starts making the changes, because that man is affecting this woman. And though this email is from a selfish standpoint, as shitty as that sounds, because it's not about helping him, it's about the way she feels when he's going through what he's going through, because her life is now being impacted by his depression
And his alcoholism.
So if you think that you're going through it and you're masking and you're just getting enough to get by, you are affecting those around you. It destroys relationships, marriages. It destroys your fucking children. Like, it's on you to pull yourself out of that. And you pull yourself up by the bootstraps. I don't give a fuck if men are going to go, well, you shouldn't say shit like that. Yeah, you fucking should. Lift your fucking chin up, bro. Like, let's fucking problem solve.
Yeah.
I can't problem solve him through your email. You can't do that either. If he wants to help, he can send an email and we can talk to him. But you can't fix people. Therapy doesn't fix people. Therapy gives you the tools for them to fix themselves. If you could wave a magic wand and everyone's mental illness and fucking autism and depression and CPTSD and fucking
Borderline.
everything that exists out there could just go away, we would find new shit to be a fucking problem. It doesn't work that way. People who lived their entire life from the 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s until now that were unable to get diagnosed with all the cool names that you guys have now had to learn their own coping mechanisms and masks to get through life and have had to learn to mirror other people's behavior to fit into a normal society. And they did it on their fucking own. And a lot of people didn't make it. You guys have a lot more fucking tools now at your disposal than ever in history to start working through your shit. And for you not to do that is laziness. You are doing a disservice to your family. You are doing a disservice to the people around you who love you. But at the end of the day, that's not their problem, it's yours. Because your depression is your problem. It's not those around you. Nobody's coming to save you. That's all there is to that.
Yep.
I wish that I had some magic fucking remedy for what's going on with this chick, or with this guy, but he's not the one asking for help for himself. You're asking for help for him. You can try to be understanding and supportive, but unless he knows what's going on with you, why would he change?
Right.
So that's the answer. You need to be fully transparent with him in the way that he makes you feel when all of this is going on. And you need to be accepting that if this is the way he's choosing to live his life, you may not be a fit for his life.
And that's a hard thing to realize too.
Mm-hmm. Because you take it personal.
Yeah.
It's not personal. This has nothing to do with you.
Absolutely nothing to do with you.
He's dealing with his demons.
Yeah.
You're an innocent bystander right now. You're the fucking kid at SeaWorld that just got splashed. We're only an hour and 20 minutes in.
You want to do another email?
Yeah, because I think we're probably getting closer to an hour after I cut all the shit we had to cut. I really wish that we could give more. Some of the questions and some of the emails you guys send are not our area of help. I truly believe that we need a community. We need a village or a tribe, right?
Yeah.
You need your tribe. And a lot of that comes from brothers helping brothers or mothers helping mothers. That is so lost in our society that people isolate. And when you're depressed, your isolation makes depression worse. It's been studied. It's proven. I'm not just saying that. When you isolate while depressed, your depression intensifies. It gets worse. We are social creatures by nature. We've said this over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. If you don't have a community in terms of history, you would die. If your tribe decided that it was going to move 20 miles to a new field and you stayed behind, you are not going to make it. You're eventually going to have to catch up with your tribe or you will fucking die. Nature will pick you off. So for everybody who thinks that isolation is the answer when you're depressed, it's not. It's easy because in the moment you get left alone. But eventually you get left alone long enough, you just now feel alone and depressed.
Oh, you're not alone. Your demons are in your ear whispering to you.
Yeah.
Unalive yourself.
Yep.
You're not worth it.
The statement in your head will always be, it would be so much easier if you killed yourself. Not if I. Which means it's not you making those statements. I believe that.
Every time. So ever since I've heard that, it has switched in my brain.
Right, because you're aware of it now.
Right, because I'm aware of it now. But I can recognize that it's still not my voice.
No. I still have that. It would just be easier. I have, even with the podcast and the success that we have in life and like the help that we've given other people and the relationship that we have, there are days where it's all just too much and I become flooded. And it's not flooded from an argument. It's just too much. It would just be so much easier. But there was never anything that said life was going to be easy. Nobody said it was going to be easy.
Right.
And nobody gets out of this alive anyways. Right. And I have all of those thoughts. But when it comes down to it, I have a lot of people that depend on me. And when my days are good, they're amazing. So you live for the good days. And you remember those good days. So you have something to look forward to. I don't know. We're going to have to stop this conversation because we're going to end up getting demonetized.
Okay.
This is one of those things that YouTube and other platforms frown upon.
It blows my mind because what we are talking about should be talked about. It's a real life human experience.
Yeah. However, I would like to add that we have a promo code through BetterHelp. H-E-L-P, not health, betterhelp.com/to-be-better. There's a savings that you go. So if you guys really need therapy and you don't want to go in person and you want to do online therapy, they have free therapist switches. If you're not happy with your therapist, you can just sign up for a different therapist. There's a survey, BetterHelp, right? Not BetterHelp, HELP.com/to-be-better. It will save you a little bit of money, but that might be the answer, because then you can do it from the sanctity of your home, or you can do it in your fucking car away from your family.
Yeah.
Find somewhere that's near a cell phone signal that you can park and video chat. Like, do it in a fucking Starbucks parking lot with your sun visor over. Nobody will see you.
Yep.
Fucking scream and cry in your car if that's what you got to do, but do something.
Next email.
Yeah.
You guys saved my marriage from the very beginning, and I need some advice on one thing. Please help. Hello. I hope this email finds you well and that you guys are feeling great. I want to start by apologizing, as English is not my first language. We were also finally able to join your Patreon and look forward to ordering shirts and coffee.
Hell yeah.
I am 22 years old, as well as my wife. We got married this year in February of 2023 after several years of dating due to me wanting to have my finances together and work on myself as a person before starting this beautiful life. I have come to love living with the most amazing woman I could have ever dreamed of. I want to mention my wife is fully aware and on board with me writing and sending this email. Getting married was rocky, as can be expected in this current economy, as well as we have some cultural conflicts between her family and I. My wife grew up in a culture where being a woman is similar to being a second-class citizen, although we were both born and raised right here in Florida. She grew up having a very different perspective of what marriage was and how love was shown between a man and a woman. Where she saw her mom being treated as more of an object, I was raised by my mother and grandma. It was hammered into me how to treat women and how to carry myself. My wife was very sheltered growing up and didn't get to see much of the world or even the town where she had lived all her life. Both due to her father's messed up view of making decisions and her mother's overbearing selfishness. Her relationship with them is broken, to say the least. My mother and father never married, and the weekends I was forced to spend at his house were filled with horror, as he did not consider me his son and chose to spend the time abusing me in any way he could think of. Not to get into specifics, but there are many scars I still have on my skin and brain I fear will never fade. I grew up extremely violent, never at home with my mom and grandma, but at my dad's house and friend group I made as a young moron not knowing any better. Because of my extremely violent past growing up, I have a very different point of view on the world than my wife does. Here, on behalf of my wife, I'd love to say thank you to you, Peaches, for being an amazing example of what it means to be a loving, submissive wife to a loving, protective husband. Showing that loving, respecting, and submitting is not an act of slavery or a negative aspect of a marriage, but something she can be proud of and take joy in. And I want to take a moment to say thank you to Chris for helping me understand in these last few months that my violent past does not define me and doesn't make me unworthy of love.
Nope. Your past is behind you. Your past is behind you. It doesn't define you unless you allow it to.
Yeah.
And this doesn't just mean your violent history. This is literally everyone's past. If you live in that and you choose to let your past define who you are, your future is fucking doomed. This is who I was. Who I was sucked. I don't want to be that person.
So I'm not.
So I'm going to start making changes to be better.
Yeah.
Don't be your father. Because he didn't show you how to be a man. So to my previous question, who showed you to be a man? That's not it.
Take all of that and do the opposite.
Also, don't follow in your mother's footsteps. Because you were forced to go to your dad's, where you were abused. Which means your parents failed you on both sides.
Yeah.
Your grandma did too. And if all they did was teach you how to treat a woman, it's because they didn't respect men either.
It's because yeah. Yep. Back to the email. Listening to you has helped me work through a lot of my issues as a man who now needs to take care of another human being who is my entire world.
Good. Good for you, bro. That's breaking generational trauma.
I hope that the wife is going to break out of that women are a second class being and just dives into her femininity and becomes the goddess that she is and loves loving her man.
You realize that people look at you that way, right?
Like that?
Yeah, you being a traditional wife makes you a second-class citizen.
Wow.
I'm not kidding.
A second class citizen?
That was
crazy.
the argument for feminism, is that women are not second-class citizens, that they have the right to have credit cards and do all the shit that men do.
I do have a credit card as a traditional wife.
That was the argument for feminism.
Right, but
Not currently,
okay, so it was. Okay.
but that's still the argument. Women are second class, the wage gap. Like all of the arguments that are centered around feminism all stem from women being second-class citizens. There are parts of the world where faith dictates that women have structure and do things that has been written into actual law, right? And it doesn't happen in America. There's no law on the books that is a difference between you and I, not
Right.
one.
Mm-mm.
So in America, that's not a thing.
Right.
However, if her family have cultural differences and they're first generation migrants here and she's a first generation born American, those ideals are still going to be taught. And for her to have a traditional value marriage and want that for herself and to be submissive, is she really being second class? Because she has the option now to do one or the other and she's choosing to follow into that role.
It also depends on, what was the word? Submission. What is your definition of submission? Right? Because the way that I submit to you, there are other traditional women. Well, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
I'll do something else in lieu of that, but I'm not doing that.
Well, that
Right.
sounds more like an acts of service, but like let's just look at pink jobs and blue jobs.
Okay.
People think that a woman staying home and taking care of the kids, cooking and cleaning is second class.
Oh, that's luxury.
That's one half of a life.
Oh my gosh.
So if you have one person that's handling the other aspect of your life, you're a fucking team.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you want to go to work and work in the workforce, dude? If I could stay at home every day and not do anything other than make sure my house is clean, I would wake up, go to the gym, come home, clean, shower, and then fuck off for the rest of the day. And that's assuming there's no kids.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have kids and are at school, that can all be done by the time 10 o'clock hits.
Yeah.
And if they get home at 2, you got 4 hours to fuck around and do nothing. And from the time they get home, depending on their age, they can go outside and play. Like,
Or they're doing chores to help clean the house.
if I had the option of being a back-breaking laborer or staying at home in the air conditioning, I'm staying at home in the air conditioning. I don't care if I got to deal with 5 unruly-ass kids.
Yeah.
However, if I knew that having 5 unruly-ass kids were going to be a problem for me, I wouldn't be having 5 unruly-ass kids. I'd have one. Be like, that's enough. We're not doing this again. This comes down to verbiage again, though, because the whole second-class citizen statement. How does that look? Is this one of those things where she is Muslim and cannot go to market without another man?
Yeah.
Because I can see how you would feel that secondhand citizenship, because at that point you don't have freedoms. She doesn't live in that country. So though that might have been her childhood, she's an adult now. So just like you had a violent past and your violent past doesn't dictate who you are now, your abuse as a child does not dictate who you are now in the way that you are raising your son.
Yeah.
You know that they say that, and I'm going to debunk what I'm about to say. They actually say that people who grow up abused become abusers. They say it with people who have been SA'd, grow up to SA. Grapists.
Like every time?
Grapists, no.
Oh, okay.
That's the caveat. Grapists grow up to become grapists.
Okay, it's not every.
Right, but it's not everyone.
Yeah.
The amount of people who were abused that grow up to not abuse their children is astronomical in comparison to the ones who did choose to abuse their children.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not the case. Just because you had a scenario growing up does not mean that that's who you're going to be as an adult, and it doesn't mean that that's how you're going to treat your children. If that was the case, everyone on the planet would have been abused as a child by now.
Yeah.
So, or not even make it through childhood because the abuse would have gotten worse and worse.
Mm-hmm.
Your past does not have to define your future. That's a choice.
You make such good points.
I mean, sometimes I guess.
I appreciate your brain and your thinking capacity and sharing it. We have mostly only seen your content on TikTok, but are now starting to watch your longer content on YouTube, and it is helping us incredibly.
Thank you for that.
We already had in place rules about not arguing in public, and that is what happens. Oh, and that what happens in our marriage stays in our marriage, not our families or friend groups. We also now practice calmer talking when in situations or an issue comes up. We use the "you're saying this, but I'm understanding this, is it correct" method. And we refuse to have any serious talks over text, only in person.
Highly recommend that when you see this episode, you go back and watch the I versus you statement video.
Where I need advice on is this. My wife has expressed concern over my attitude. I am always on alert. In public, I am watching hands, body language, who's behind me, etc. She's more relaxed and will focus more on the views and whatnot. When we enter a restaurant or a store, I am constantly scanning for threats and mapping exit routes to all exits I see and keep an eye out on all entrances. She feels I can be too paranoid when we go out, although she knows a lot of my past and I tell her more and more as time goes on. By accept what I know she can't stomach yet, she has only seen me get violent twice. The first time was when someone tried to mug her without realizing I was just around the other side of our truck, where she witnessed me stop him in a way that once the police arrested him, he needed to go to the hospital for stitches and a few casts. The other was the last time we went to her parents' house just a month after we were married. There, while still sober, her father and older brother began verbally bullying and abusing her. I made it clear they need to stop or they would face consequences for mistreating my wife. My wife begged me to calm down and just ignore them since it's just the way they are. I tried till her father attempted to throw a beer bottle at my wife for accidentally dropping an empty plastic cup on the floor.
See, that's not second-class citizenship. That's abuse.
That's abuse.
Okay.
I quickly got between my wife and the bottle in a bear hug. As the back of my head began to bleed, I had my wife and I begin to gather our things to leave before I lost my cool. Why are y'all going to her parents' house?
Right. I was just thinking that.
Absolutely unacceptable. Wife, if you are listening to this, the way that your family treats you is not okay. This is abuse.
It's also very different the way that people handle their trauma because she's completely aloof and he's very alert.
Oh, yeah, she's definitely aloof on this. Have you heard of sacrificial unalivings?
What?
Have you heard about that? I don't know what religion this is. I don't know what culture this is. There are religions and cultures that men believe they have to right to sacrificially unalive their children, their daughters specifically. This abuse terrifies the shit out of me. I would not accept this in any form.
Your past is going to dictate your behavior.
Yeah.
It's going to dictate your behavioral traits.
Mm-hmm.
And two people can have the exact same upbringing and have two very different views on life.
Right.
There are people who would just accept being a victim and will always be that. And there's people who decide to fight back. The way that you handle those situations is personal to you. So for him to have had a violent past where he is an aggressor or a defender or protector, depending on how you want to look at that, and she has always been the victim, she's choosing to not worry about being a victim, where he is very afraid of being a victim, whether that's been because he's been the aggressor or because he's had to defend himself so much. That being overly alert, hyper aware is a trauma response.
It is. You do that.
I know I do. Because for a long time, I expected someone to slit my throat at a dinner table at Fridays. Like, I fully expected somebody to unalive me by now.
Yeah.
So, that's just the life that I lived for a long time. It is what it is, or it was what it was.
Mm-hmm.
It's not now.
You still have that hypervigilance, though.
I know I do, and it'll never go away.
I was just saying it'll never go away, and that's not. I don't view that as a bad characteristic of you.
Right. It's not a detriment.
Right.
Because it doesn't keep me from living my life.
Let's say you still enjoy moments with me. We take pictures in canyons and
right. But I'm not going to put myself in a situation that I can't control either. Mm-hmm. Going to a fair where there's hundreds of people, and in the event that there's an emergency and we have to escape's real fucking hard in a scenario like that. People are getting trampled. Like I've said over and over and over again on the podcast, that when you are finding yourself in a situation, the best way to avoid that situation is to not be there. So if I'm in a restaurant and people start getting obnoxious, I'm leaving. If something doesn't feel right, I'm leaving. I would rather be wrong and go home early than fucking be caught in some shit that I don't want to be caught in. In his scenario, I would rather have a new holiday plan where we do holidays at my house and family's not invited than be going over there where I have to witness my wife be treated that way because, hey, that's just the way they are.
Or
No, that's not going to fucking fly with me.
We just start going to Montana for the holidays.
Something.
We're in a cabin somewhere.
So what is the question? Because so far, it sounds like she's got an issue with him being hypervigilant. And I don't understand why that would be an issue for her. She's not the one living that way.
Right.
Unless he's a dick and not enjoying himself, that's a different conversation. So let's finish the question.
Her father and brothers took offense to that, meaning him making them leave, and told me to not disrespect them further. At that moment, he insulted my manhood, which I couldn't care about till he said that my wife, his daughter, was worthless and he would treat trash as he saw fit in his house.
Wow.
There, 2 of her older brothers were holding her to tease her. My eyes met hers as she understood I was asking if she could forgive me for what I was about to do with her family. She nodded, and I lost it. In seconds, I had the 2 brothers who were holding her on the ground before turning around to face her father and his 2 oldest sons. Seconds later, they were all on the floor with bloody noses and what I assumed to be some cracked ribs and bones. I also broke the hand that he used to throw the bottle at her. It was the first and only time I saw fear in my wife's eyes.
Sounds like a movie. It sounds like a movie script. No offense, dude. You might be a badass, but like to take on 3 grown men and to come out on top unscathed. Mm-hmm. I as somebody who's been in a lot of fights, I call bullshit.
Yeah.
You're getting hit. Something's happening. Even if you like the outcome of that being to that extent where you are that successful is fucking slim.
Right, you took some hits.
Something happened.
Yeah.
Right. Like I
mean, we already know he took a beer bottle to the back of the head.
Right. Well, and I understand that, but that whole enraging moment and like you reacting out of anger and rage makes you foolish.
It's like that
So
part
like,
in Sparta.
Even if you're trained with combat, they tell you constantly when you do jiu-jitsu, don't get angry. Because if you get fucking angry, you're going to lose.
Yeah.
If you're wrestling and you get angry, you're going to lose because you're going to make mistakes. You're not thinking logically. Mm-hmm. So to drop 3 fucking dudes while they were holding your woman, like, and not hit your woman in the process and not be hit, it just, I don't know. Maybe he's a fucking John Wick. Because of the life I lived, that's a very hard scenario to come out of. Fighting 3 people's fucking hard. You're losing that 99% of the time. Mm. So either they're all cowards and can't fight and you got fucking lucky as shit, like 1% lucky, or you are John Wick. Feels like an episode of The Walking Dead to me.
Right. Gave me 300 vibes when he said he looked at her and she gave the head nod.
Yeah. Yeah, that too. I didn't even pick up on that, but...
Before leaving, her mother slapped her and called her useless, and since then we have all cut contact and actively avoid anywhere we know they frequent.
Good.
I don't think my wife fears me. She assures me that she loves how I don't approach everything with aggression, but I'm always ready for it.
Let me pause you again. 3 people ended up in the hospital, broken bones, which means you had to go to the hospital, right? You broke their hand, whatever. Bloody nose. A bloody nose doesn't necessarily mean a break. I've busted my nose a lot.
Yeah, broken ribs, those heal themselves.
Right, but you're still going to the hospital.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a broken rib?
No, I haven't. My elbow was...
Oh, right. I know that. I don't even know why I asked you that. Breaking a rib makes it hard to breathe. Like, you can't take a deep breath. Broken ribs are more painful than any broken bone I've ever had in my fucking life because of the fear that comes with it. You ever have like a intercostal cramp in your ribs where you can't take a deep breath because it feels like you're being stabbed? Mm-hmm. That panic of, oh God, I can't breathe.
That's what happens when I get those stitch in my sides.
Yeah, it's an intercostal cramp.
Okay, look at that.
There's a fear in that. And if you can't catch a breath because you got an ass beating, your fear of like my lung could be punctured or something could be poking my lung, you're going to the hospital. 3 people from one family go to the hospital, all of them injured. Somebody's calling the cops. Somebody's calling the cops, especially in this scenario where they don't respect the wife and you just beat everyone's ass. The fact that you 1% beat everyone up and didn't go to jail or have the cops called on you is fucking astonishing. Because even if they were the aggressor, you were in their home and there's 3 of them with their word against your one. Bro, you need to like slow way the fuck down because if this is all true, You are lucky as a motherfucker. Because people are cop callers now. People don't just take the ass whooping because they deserved it. That's not a thing. Unless they can't call the cops. Maybe they're not here legally.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe there's abuse that they've done towards the daughter that they're worried about being exposed. Why'd he beat your ass? I felt like my wife's life was in danger.
Right. Well, in that scenario, that would be his word against theirs. And if he was in their house, the answer would have been, why didn't you guys leave when things started to escalate?
Yeah.
The best way to avoid being in a situation is to not fucking be there when the situation happens.
Yep. Back to the email.
Yep.
I don't think my wife fears me. She assures me that she loves how I don't approach. Oh, I read that. She doesn't understand. The only issue that comes up is that she feels I'm also always too ready for it. She doesn't understand that even when I can be upset with her over something serious, I'm literally a teddy bear. But with others, she fears I would kill them without remorse. What I want her to understand is that for her, I would kill without remorse to keep her safe and protected.
And who's going to keep her safe when you're on death row? This mentality of attack is not helpful.
Oh man, the next sentence is, there is a running joke in our friend group that she didn't marry a hero, she married a villain.
That doesn't sound like a protector mindset to me. That sounds like a bully.
That's terrifying to me.
If you want to keep this woman safe and be her protector forever, attacking everything that comes along is not going to get you there. Because eventually you're going to find somebody else that's that 1% that's going to lay you the fuck out or put you in the hospital or cripple you or give you a TBI, or you're going to attack on somebody who's got that thing on them because you said you lived in Florida, and you're going to fuck around and find out and they're going to put a hole in you. Or you're going to go to jail for the rest of your life. Then what? Who's going to protect your woman then from her family and her abusive brothers? Or the men that she may choose to be with after you because she doesn't have a good track record with men? There is a difference between being a protector and being an aggressor. I can keep you safe by keeping you not in those situations. Mm-hmm. My hypervigilance comes because I'm looking for threats so that I can avoid them. I have a bug out bag in my car so that in the event that I got to fucking walk somewhere, I have supplies with me. I don't have that in the car because I want to leave my car in Sarasota and walk home. It's to avoid those situations. It's to make sure that things are prepped and ready to go in the event of an emergency, not to create the emergency. If I am the aggressor all the time, eventually I'm going to lose. And that loss looks like a vast majority of things. It could be, like I said, it could be death, it could be hospitalization, it could be paralyzation, it could be a life sentence.
TBI.
We know from people who go to jail or join the military that infidelity is very high in those circles. You go to jail, your woman's going to be there for the first 6 months, a year, maybe. And then after that, you're writing letters trying to find fucking friends who have girls that are into dudes who are in prison because your family has abandoned you. The phone call stopped getting accepted. People start complaining about the cost of the phone bill. Like,
yeah,
that situation is not healthy. You're not doing your woman a favor by being an aggressor. You are by stopping muggers. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's cool to be that guy. I don't look upon that favorably. To be an aggressor is not a good thing. To be hypervigilant, my hypervigilance does come from me wanting to avoid the situations. In the event that I'm put into a situation, can I handle myself? Most of the time, yeah. I've been knocked out. I've had my ass kicked. That's, if you're a fighter, that's happened. So there's to that. Mike Tyson's been knocked out. Like, it happens. Mike Tyson's won a whole lot of fights too and knocked out 44 people in his career, but he has still been knocked out. And that's in a controlled environment. In an uncontrolled environment where there's other people and there's other factors and there's weapons and there's things like that, like, it is a dangerous situation.
Someone called their buddies.
Yep. It's not the movies, guys. That shit will catch you one day. All of the shit that I've been in, like in the things that I've talked about on the podcast, has all been situations where I've lost. Being hit in the face with a crowbar, you're not winning that. It's not a win. Being stabbed is not a fucking win. It's not glorious. It sucks. Being shot at sucks. I don't know. his friends joke that she didn't
Marry a hero. She married a villain.
She married a villain. Well, then that means your friend group doesn't think very highly of you. I wouldn't want to be considered a villain.
Yeah.
I know that I am. And in somebody's story, everyone is a villain. But I don't want to be considered a hero either.
I want to be a good person.
Yeah, heroism to me is a peaceful life. Isn't the saying, I'd rather be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war?
Mm-hmm.
Be in a garden, bro. Find your peace. It'd be really easy to fight tulips.
Oh, yeah, real easy. I said I agreed with it since I wouldn't sacrifice her for any greater good, but instead I would burn this world down if anyone was ever dumb enough to take her away from me. How can I get her to understand that some of my willingness to violence now was out of love and wanting to protect and care for my woman? Peaches, she also felt it necessary I add that she also loves it when I call her my woman and loudly in public say my wife when referring to her. Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Yep. Yeah. I like it when my man's on the phone and he may be making plans with somebody and he's like, yeah, I just got to get with my woman. And then everything else is gone after that. And then starts playing, I don't know. Blues Man comes to mind, but that's not accurate. She said that's her favorite way of me addressing her in public. It also messes with my self-esteem and the peace I made with my past self when I think she doesn't want to be with someone who could easily commit violence. Brings back lots of feelings of feeling I am unworthy of being loved. We both really want to know what you two think on this and any advice you could have for us. From the bottom of our hearts, thank you so much for all you do. Thank you for being such a great example of what a loving marriage is. Thank you for saving our marriage more times than we can count. Thank you, thank you, thank you. With deep respect and admiration, just two lovebirds trying to be better. I think you did a really good job on talking about what he could do on his end to help with this.
Yeah. I understand the burn the world down. That doesn't make you a villain.
I wonder if in her perception, she perceives that he enjoys being violent.
Well, that was never even hinted at.
Right.
Her issue is with his alertness in public.
And the willingness to do it.
That wasn't said.
It was said.
Well, then I missed that.
He did say that.
From her statements or from his? Or maybe I'm just hung up on the fact that that's what was the issue, is that she noticed he's always hypervigilant in public.
She said that she loves how I don't approach everything with aggression, but I am always ready for it. The only issue that comes up is that she feels I'm always too ready for it. So I guess willingness was not the word there, but she has a problem that he's just so willing to be violent.
Well, if there's only been 2 violent altercations, that doesn't sound like that's the case.
And then his past of violence.
Right, but that's the past. That had nothing to do with her. She was not with him when that was the case. Everybody's got a past. Maybe I just took that email differently, but...
She assures me that she loves how I don't approach everything with aggression, but I am always ready for it. The issue only comes up is that she feels I am also always too ready for it.
Right, hypervigilance. That's what I'm getting from that statement.
Yeah, I don't see...
You being very aware of your surroundings. It's a good thing.
So where does the aggression come in on that? Because hypervigilant isn't aggression.
Right. Well, stopping a mugging and defending somebody from putting their hands on you is not aggression. That's protective behavior.
Right.
Hypervigilance is always being ready for it. Mm-hmm. And people, that's trauma response. And it fucking is a trauma response. However, when you've lived a life like that, having that trauma response keeps you alive. People who fucking have been in combat or been to prison, that hypervigilance keeps you alive.
Right.
You get caught slipping, that's a problem. People who grew up on the streets and drug game, all of that. Like, that's how they live their life. It's ingrained in us. It's warrior culture. However, an older warrior realizes he doesn't have to be in combat. I really think that the answer to this is to look for the situation to not be there. Not look for it to create aggression, because eventually you're going to find yourself down one of the roads that you can't come back from. Mm-hmm. Then what are you going to do? That's my answer to you. If you were in prison or you were dead or you have a brain injury and you are not able to fucking even wipe the drool off your chin anymore, what you going to do? How are you going to protect your woman? How are you going to keep her safe?
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do then? You know, Professor Exum?
Right.
And hope that your telepathy kicks in?
Yeah.
And use the force? It's not working.
I like how you open your eyes real big.
It's not working. It's not working. You call from prison and make threats.
Yeah.
You're going to send a threatening email that's not even going to make it past the guards because they read that shit. That's my question to you. For all of you young men out there who think that violence is the answer, violence is an answer. It is a answer.
Mm-hmm.
It is not the answer. If you can fucking get out of a situation before things get bad, that's the answer.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a life-threatening situation, the answer is to eliminate that threat to keep life proper, and then you deal with the outcome afterwards. I'm not looking for the deal with the outcome afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be proactive. Bug out bags. Situational awareness. No, we're not going to that concert that has 1,000 people. Fuck Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
We're not doing that. We're not going to a theater, a musical that only has 500 people and sitting in the middle. Not doing that either. We are going to take things as carefully as possible in a controlled manner that allows us to have fun. And I know that for my peace of mind, we are going to be okay in a situation where we have to escape. I know where my exits and entrances are. That's not a bad thing. Being aware of these things and being vigilant is good. But you can do this without being militant about it. If you were, if you're in a dangerous situation, then that's going to get heightened. If you're not in a dangerous situation, you can let your guard down a little bit. I'm not going to go to a fucking restaurant in a really high-end area and be hyper vigilant about the people who are in the restaurant.
Right.
I'm still going to know where my exits are, though. And I'm going to be paying attention to the people in the restaurant that I think are going to be an asset in the event that things may pop off. But these are milliseconds. Like, this is something that is ingrained in me so much so that though you catch it, once we are seated and situated, it's gone. I'm able to enjoy my fucking dinner. We can go out for 3 or 4 hours at a time, and I'm not like...
Right.
That's not a thing.
No.
It is a quick 1-minute assessment of my situation and then random scans of the room just to know what's going on. If somebody gets too loud, I'm going to look over there like everyone fucking does. The only difference is they're looking because they're nosy and I'm looking to see if we need to leave.
Yeah.
So, you ask any operator, you ask anyone who has really been in horrible scenarios, they will tell you the best way is to not be there when things pop off. Be peaceable, motherfucker, if you're never in a situation that's threatening.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a choice.
It is a choice.
So I'm done now.
Okay.
I'm podcasted out and it's 12:30. And we have to record another episode before you go get the kids.
So no lunch?
You can order it. We'll eat right before you go get the kids.
Okay.
With that being said, guys, this episode got a little intense at times. I would also like to point out that I know that I'm a very stern speaking, brash individual, and that's just how I am. I am not soft-spoken. I am not a beat around the bush person most of the time, although I can be when necessary. And it's not from a place of fuck you. It's from a place of this is just the way that I conduct myself. And I know that some people don't like it, and that's okay. There are other people out there who will sugarcoat things and make it the way that you need to hear it. But I'm assuming if you're listening to this podcast, you're doing so because you enjoy this. I think that we have a nice mixture of sweet and salty.
Yeah.
And it's a good flavor mix. It's like a good dark chocolate or a good caramel chocolate with salt on it. And it's all the flavors are meshed.
Yeah.
And it works.
I'm kind of jealous of you.
Why?
Because I want to be a bitch sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I'm
I
glad
feel
that
bad
you don't.
about it, though.
Yeah. See, I don't feel bad about being an asshole.
I don't want to hurt people's feelings.
Sometimes I don't either, but
When I want to be a bitch, it's to hurt people's feelings.
Yeah. My assholeness comes because I want to grab people and shake them.
Yeah.
You can't be this fucking stupid.
I want to get out a white
sometimes.
glove and just
I challenge you to a duel, saw.
start hitting him with like Shakespearean insults.
Like a Tom and Jerry episode where you put an anvil or a rock in the glove and then challenge them to a duel.
Yeah.
Yeah. I appreciate you guys writing in and knowing that I'm probably going to be the way that I am and still asking for advice.
Yeah, thanks for liking us anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
We overanalyze ourselves after we do these recordings.
Especially because the internet is not chill.
Oh yeah, they hate us.
Yeah. They make it very known that I'm an asshole and that I'm brash and I'm a fucking dick. And sometimes I am those things. Sometimes I'm very analytical about things and I get hung up on stuff and I obsess over it. Obsessive compulsive. I pick at things. I can't help it until I work through it and I feel better about it. Sometimes I Howard Hughes myself.
What does that mean?
The Aviator. We watched that movie.
Did we watch that movie, The Aviator?
Leonardo DiCaprio, where he's in there washing his hands and he's saying the same thing over and over again.
Oh, yep. I remember that. Okay, we've watched so many movies.
I full on Howard Hughes my life sometimes, and I have to stop myself because I know that I'm going crazy with that nonsense.
Yeah.
And like I have to really reel it back. But
yeah, I remember that now.
With that being said, guys, remember you're the author of your own life.
So grab a pen
And make better choices.
We'll see you on the next one.
Bye, guys.